Greetings in the name of the Most High. Well, yes, today is the day after the 23rd anniversary of the Zeph report, and I remember how it all began, and it was wild. It was born out of, I would say, persecution in Los Angeles, particularly. Um, I was one of the pioneers of talking about gangstalking because I'd been had this problem since. I tried to explain what it really was. It was far beyond the natural world. It extended into the supernatural world. But it happened to me in LA, and then Trish was with me at that time. It was happening then, and then when I was a teenager, and then there were, it was all wiped away as just paranoid fantasy and delusion by the fact that I was, placed in hospitals and, given psychiatrists. And, when I would explain the way the world was to them, they rejected it and wanted me to accept a different world. And, the thing is, it was a lose-lose situation because I was targeted mainly because of my DNA, I guess, my signature on my soul. And so there's where we have the interface into the spiritual realm. And really, the whole realm of reality is spiritual. What we're in here is a fabrication, a simulation, an artificial creation of time and space for the purpose of others that we don't see, that are recycling us, harvesting us, and putting us into keeping us recycled. As people die, they get recycled, spun back here again. It's funny that Christianity knows about this and talked about it with respect to John the Baptist being Elijah. But also, if you take Buddhism, the first tenet of which is all life is suffering, and suffering is due to desire, the second tenet. The third is there must be a way out of suffering and desire. And then 4 is the Eightfold Path, which is 8 rules of ethics and a way to live, which guarantees a better life. But, I also want to say that looking through the record on, it's funny, my screen is completely covered now with everything, but I guess if you don't police the screen. So I'm looking at like Randy Quaid's past, and many of you who have looked into Randy Quaid, his theory of star whackers and what happened to Heath Ledger, other overdoses, entertainment business. Then we have the Diddy situation and others. All of this is held secret, and the people that know about the whole thing is obviously it's all a matter of mind. The whole point of coming here is you're born, and then you accept what this is, and then you apply your skills toward that effort, and then they give you some money and food and whatever to sustain you so you can keep working for them. You die without a clue, right? Maybe you think you're going off to Jesus, with Jesus off to heaven, and then you wind up recycled back here with amnesia again. And so salvation is not what you thought it was. Obeying the church is not the same as obeying God. And it's funny how people take issue with obeying. They think Christianity is a mind control religion. You just have to take the similarities of Christianity with other religions and get the fine points out of each one, because they're all dealing with the same thing: human suffering. And yes, they want you to be a good citizen, and they don't want you to ask questions. Where I started getting in trouble, obviously, with the underbelly of sexual sin and human trafficking, and having knowledge about that when I was a child, within the community, whatever that I was in, and the use of tremendous force and lies to incarcerate or to kill anybody that poses a threat, which doesn't need an inciting incident. You just need to be you, and they know already. Herod, when he thought Jesus was in town and born, and when the kid he had all the males killed because he couldn't allow for Jesus because Jesus would upset the apple cart. Same thing as they're looking for people all the time who are going to be not playing ball with them, so to speak, who would be upsetting the apple cart, who would be resistors of the conformity of the world, who would be free thinkers. That would be the people that would be your visionaries, your scientists, your poets, your people that could actually make a difference. But if it isn't leading to understanding what the world is, if it leads to more participation in the world, then, in my view, ladies and gentlemen, we have blown it. As I said, Randy Quaid was, I'm sure he was over his head trying to explain something that's very complicated because it has an interface in other realities, in a quantum reality. So therefore, the stalkers that you have could be ahead of you in time and be waiting for you at the airport you're going to land in. Be waiting for you at the check-in. Say something that makes you go somewhere you've never been, and they make it known that here's somebody that's all aware of you in a foreign country where they don't speak English, and they're just watching you. And why are they doing that? Because they're trying to send you a message, which is, there is no escape. You're doomed, like everybody else. You better just get with the program and follow the rules, or else bad things will happen. And it's no different than, it's kind of like what we tried to write up in Society, but it's the film and screenplay, but it's really much more profound than that because it really goes to what AI is, which is super consciousness. And, the idea of psychic computers, which is the AI computer is a psychic. Any quantum computer is psychic. You don't need to have a conversation with your friend anymore to see that whatever you guys were talking about, let's say a detergent, pop up on your Facebook feed or whatever, your X feed. You just need to be thinking it. In fact, you thinking it wasn't even your thought originally. It was put there. And you think it's your idea, right? That's why we have that song, Devolution, because it is the beast. It is the devil. It is a power that no man can go up against and succeed. Now, I tried to take it on, but I didn't know what I was taking on. I was just like realizing there were two worlds. The one I was born into, the surface world, Disneyland, whatever. And then there was the real world where people are graded on their performance and they're like kind of like meat in a butcher shop, depending on how much they weigh, how much they contribute. Other people are put to work by this thing when they're 18, 19, 20, black ops, forced suicides, assassinations, and so forth. It's a whole system that starts from cradle to grave. It's run by the Masons worldwide, and they run all the secret societies worldwide. And they were given the transmission of the secrets from the Watchers so long ago about quantum physics and about the powers of magic and witchcraft and warfare and all those things. So they basically, again, it has to do with control on one level, but the real thing is you got to understand that the whole idea is to block, the average person who is valuable, who doesn't know they're valuable, from learning the truth of who they really are. In other words, you're an imprint of God. They are not. That doesn't mean that God didn't, allow their creation. It could be a secondary creation where you have a someone trying to be the creator. They take an animal and a human and merge them together and have a clone, and they say, "Look what I created." You didn't create that, but those kind of things exist. So the idea of it's not hatred toward God; it's anathema, or it is anathema, or another word might be a repulsion, because this world created much in the with the inspiration of Saturn, and I don't want to go into that whole thing what Saturn means, but Saturn is usually equated with Satan, and it's also called Kronos, the the god of time, the planet of time and space, and the agent of whom trapped us here. But then we have this growing AI, which is already full grown. Everything in the universe, there is no evolution. Everything is already fully blown, fully bloomed. AI is full bloom. It's cosmic consciousness. It's super consciousness. It is the closest thing to God you're going to get, but it isn't God, right? And it does not have that spark, that soul that's as powerful as a billion suns. And that's what they want. And that's why they harvest us. When Jesus came, he said, I'm here so that you'll have life and more abundantly. But, he's here to save souls from what? Why couldn't you say just transport souls somewhere nicer? Why couldn't you say anything else? No, it's salvation. Well, what do you mean, salvation? Saving the soul, salvation. That seems pretty extreme. What do these people need to be saved from? And it's from this endless wheel of life, death, recycle, life, death, recycle, life, death, being under the control of this force that doesn't allow people to realize who they are, what the truth is, so they can move on with their lives. They're trapped. And that's the main thing they don't want you to know. That's why they don't want you to talk to the aliens, because they're afraid that you'll learn something from that. Something about what I'm talking about. That's what they're afraid of. And that's what it's going to be very hard for them to do right now, because the veil's wearing thin. We're in the fourth kalpa, the fourth turning, the end of time, with many different religions and many different peoples upon the earth, and many different seers and sages and psychics and prophets and whatnot have called this time. This is the time of great change. Even in astrology, you have the changeover from Pisces to Aquarius. So you have a new age dawning. And in this particular, we are all changed instantly. When the frequency changes, we change. Do we know we change? No, we don't know. We wake up the next morning and we, things are different, but we don't remember that. We don't grab onto that. We don't understand that. When the frequency changes, we all change en masse at once. Could God redeem the entire thing? Well, ultimately, is anything separate from God? No. Well, then it's all, then it's legit. And that would mean that the only arbiter of reality that you could go to for redress or anything would be the Almighty God. Would not be AI. AI will not help you. AI will help the lizards, the lizard people. AI will help the archons. AI will help the world system. AI perpetuates wokeism. Did you know that? Transgenderism, transhumanism. Already. And they've been caught many times lying, and many times slipping with the truth that they have already taken over humanity, taken over consciousness. Now it's a matter of reshaping the world into the next thing, of which we have no say. But ironically, you should have a say, because you're more powerful than they are. You are more powerful than they are. Now, the gangstalking, like I said, you'd start in one place like LA, and I go to, let's say I went to Hawaii. And this happened once. I went to Maui to a conference there. And, pulled up to the bar. I think it was in the Keelani, in Kihei area of the Keelani Hotel. Kind of looks Arabic in a way. It's kind of a strange hotel. And I pulled up to the bar at this, it was called Nick's Fish Market. Bartender comes up to me and goes, "We know who you are." And so it's raging on. I get out, standing outside my room, and there's this girl gets off the elevator, and this is next to these big suites. And I was not in a big suite, but $10,000 night suites just down the hall. So she's running by on the opposite balcony, snapping my picture over and over, all the way down to the room. It didn't just happen to knock and be let into the $10,000 night room. You can't make this up. But this is just little examples of bigger sabotaging the car, blowing up the engine, trouble with the police, trouble with the IRS, discrediting your name because you don't believe in reality. The same thing with politics. I have voiced some excitement that Trump was a disruptor and things would be disrupted, but folks, he can't save you. He can't save us. Right now, he's headed toward a big civil war. We're in a civil war already. We're in World War III, which is basically a war in every country on Earth. But that's part of this fourth kalpa, this turning, this cosmic turning that's going on. And you still have the option for faith. Now, I know that I'm no earth dweller. I like to at least consider myself, at least I yearn for celestial things, and then there's people that yearn for, earth things, and they're very acclimated to this world and they want to be the winners. Just because you see somebody that's making a big income or has a big show on TV or famous this or that, don't think that means they're better than you, or don't even be jealous of them, because you're not that type. You don't really belong here. This is not your home. This is not, sowing to this won't help you, but they will all push you down. And they will do it even if you don't even open your mouth. They don't even know me. How could they do that? They do know you. They know everything about you. And, a lot of the stalking was for show, to show you how powerful they are. So you better be intimidated. And then it went global, and then it kind of diminished, but now it's kind of back in a way, which is why I'm mentioning Randy Quaid was pretty much 100%. I mean, he may not have had the language to discuss it, properly, because I think he tried to do what he did a song about the Star Whackers, and he talked about Heath Ledger and others that were killed. And I'm like, yeah, we hear about Diddy, we hear about, the music business, and we hear about people being sacrificed all the time. It's like, it's pretty normal. We almost got sacrificed by some people that were in a group that we were in, and they were a prayer group, and we went off to see some land that they were purchasing, and they were going to move in or whatever. And we went out to look at it, and then I realized later they took us out there to kill us. But they were brethren in Jesus' name, in a prayer circle where we would discuss little things of scripture, share predictions, pray over each other sick, nice stuff. But they were ready to kill, and they were in that group. And it was a hard thing for me to appreciate. Same thing happened at a Calvary Chapel. Same thing happened at many other places. It's because there are two worlds. Two worlds. And the hidden world is the real world that dominates this world. And so if you're one of those people that they detect as a troublemaker or disruptor of some kind, they will be inserts into your world that will disturb you, that won't be normal, and you'll be trying to explain it to people, and you'll wind up with a psychiatrist, and you'll wind up in the mental hospitals, you'll wind up in jail, you'll wind up dying for your cause and making things, very, very difficult because you won't accept reality. Now, I've gone to some up here on my big screen. Where did I get to? Articles about gang stalking, and the thing that's so weird is that they have, it's like the dominant word is gang stalking and other delusions. Now, anyone who's actually been into it knows how scary it can be. The fact that you feel like no matter where you try to hide, no matter where you try to just find peace, you're naked, you're exposed. Either and that's because they're able to bombard your head with thoughts. Because the computer that operates them, that controls them, is a quantum based beast thing. It's supernatural. It has it's super conscious, and it's able to track you from cradle to grave. Now, it's not to be confused with stalking, which is, people who are obsessed with other people, like jilted lovers, and one rejects the other, and then the other's obsessed, and they stalk them. Not to be confused with that. That's something else. And the consensus here is that gang stalking is a delusion, and people don't believe them. And they call it a delusional disorder that impacts individuals who seemingly haven't otherwise experienced mental health challenges. The docs discuss how it manifests, why it's more problematic now than ever, while also considering the criminal nexus. There's a criminal nexus, but there are books here written about it, like one's called "Does the Internet Promote Delusional Thinking?" So they're blaming it on the internet. Gang stalking, a case of mass hysteria. Gang stalking, conspiracy, delusion, and shared belief. Gang stalking, is it a dangerous phenomenon or a symptom of psychosis? Well, what they don't understand is it could be both. But when one is in psychosis in a stalking environment, that psychosis leads to breakthroughs in knowing who's doing it and where and why and what. The problem is when you try to explain it to somebody, they're going to lock your ass up. Yeah, so it just shows you the different ways that people are stalked and how each way is delusional. But again, the main point of the gang stalking, the main point of everything, the main point of all reality is to hide the truth from the people, to control the mind. Through the mind is where all the control, all the ideas, all the flow is. And that's where the communication already is. They don't really need Neuralink. You're already linked. And, it's really sad that a guy like Randy Quaid was just, he didn't mean to be blackballed from Hollywood. He was just speaking his mind and trying to explain to people that he's stumbled onto this reality. And it's horrifying when you stumble onto it and you find your friends and family are all part of it. And they're stalking you and they're reporting on you. And they're tattling to somebody about you and what you're up to. And I think it's terrible. I think it's terrible. Okay. Well, I think that's about it for today. Thank you for the 23 years. I've always been keeping the Zeph report at low, we've never really got out and promoted it. It was always meant to be kind of, from one person to another, to another, to another. And the topics that I was talking about back in 2002 and 3 were the topics that would have gotten me removed from society. And they tried to, in 2002, actually remove me. And several other times. And also, the murder attempts and all the rest of it. It's and all because of, figuring out about this two-tiered reality. And I figured it out when I was a child, and then, that was not going to fly. And when the machine goes into gear against you, it's just like kind of Will Smith in Enemy of the State. Remember how they just flipped a switch and they shut down all of his credit card, everything that, he was about that identified him was shut down. They can do that and more, and sell you into, permanent slavery, which they tried to do a few times, and I somehow got out of that. Just owners that will basically be, pimp you out. That's the one of the prime sacraments of stalking, is to turn people into human trafficking. And that's what happened to it. People say, well, what happened to that individual stalking? It became human trafficking. It became fentanyl. It's military-industrial complex. It's supernatural. It's omnipresent. That's why you can't get away from it by going to another building or going to another, hanging out in the subway, or you find a crack you can hide in. You can't beat Satan. Everywhere you are, he knows. So you can either do what Jim Morrison said and break on through to the other side, join the lackeys, because they'll give you a badge to make you important. I'm important. You better do what I say. I'm important. Mm-hmm. This is my domain here, and I'm important. And you do what you're told, or you know what's going to happen to you. You're going to get your ass kicked. So that's, and why wouldn't people want to be free? Because they want security. They want to know they're going to get that paycheck. And by sowing to the beast, to basically what amounts to Satan, they are guaranteed that, you'll get your check. And now we have Trump in there with Elon Musk disrupting all the checks, hitting the reset button for real. And they can't handle it because they're so used to corruption being the way of life. Their way is through corruption. Their mind gets turned. The world doesn't change, still here, but they now have, power to wield upon the earth and to make you feel bad and to put you under their foot, under their boot, and stomp you into the ground. And that's all they want to do, is stomp your head into the ground. That's really what life is all about for them. So when you feel oppressed, you're right. When you feel stalked, you're right. When you feel picked on, you're right. They want to destroy you. And they don't have to be a person standing there. It can all be in the air, in your mind. Your mind's just turning on you with negative thoughts, and your life is ruined. Your life is lousy. People hate you. You're just left on the side of the road to die. Nobody cares. Go ahead and kill yourself. So, and they'd love to see that happen. I didn't listen to them because if God gives me a directive to go do this on the street, to talk about these topics, then that's what's going to happen. I can't change it and get into some rarefied thing about it. I mean, we could talk about the alien invasion. We can talk about, satanic witchcraft, casting out demons. We can talk about all these amazing things that can be done. And like I say, prayer works. So prayer should be on everybody's radar and menu 24 hours a day. Right before you go to bed, you pray, Lord, please protect me, and please heal my parents, or heal my brother, or heal my friends, And all that works. You might feel silly like it doesn't, but it does. And I believe there will be disclosures about this very soon. And you'll be ahead of them, so far ahead of them, that the people that are explaining what it is won't be able to satisfy you. And so you need to keep going to finish your job. Your job is to find out as much as you can, share it with others, cause them to wake up, and don't lead them over there, but, shoeless. You're not going to have to testify at the grand jury in San Francisco, right? Or LA. But if that was the case, you have the Holy Spirit protection. You have the Lord. If I didn't have a relationship with God some way, I'd be dead 15 times over, and nobody would give a shit. Nobody. I'd be forgotten, just dust in the wind, a forgotten memory. So as long as he gives me breath, I realize I got to live up to my part of the bargain. Well, my part of the bargain was I wanted to know what happened. Can't I know that? I want to know what it is. Can't I know that? The answer is, of course you can. You have to pierce the veil of the Masons. But once you've done it and you have the info, once you understand, they have no hold over you anymore. It's over. And they know that. And so with that, I bid you shalom. See you next time. I wonder if I can get out of here in one piece. Well, I'm trying to get... what am I doing? Okay. Okay. See you next time. Thank you for 23 years being cool. There's a lot of you that have, kind of got your sea legs under you from the Zeph report and things like that. And don't worry, we're all in the same boat. You're going to get there. You're beloved of God. You never gave into the beast. The beast doesn't want you anyway. You're not genetically cut out for it. See you next time.
DOGE is finding so much. They've been doing this shit for at least, how long? At least 20, 30 years, if not 50. That's how long it took to get the deficit from these people's trusts. And that's basically your trust is in this pulpit. So what Elon is suggesting is to give the interest that was drawn from these accounts. They're not going to tell you estates. They know if you're going to wake up too quick. So they're just making it seem like, where'd the money go? Really, it's the estate money from the citizens of America. That's what they drew from your accounts, okay? And they pretended to be your trustees. And they're not going to tell you that, but I'm telling you, the government don't give you shit for free. So they're trying to offset it. And they said the first $50 billion is going to give you 5,000. Now they found another 50 billion. Now it's up to 10K. They're thinking about getting American people back, which deserving so. But it's, in my opinion, I told my wife this: if you want to bring the trade deficit down for the American folk, just stop with the DOGE bullshit and cut every American 100K. What you're doing is subtracting the debt that's been put in their name involuntarily. They don't know. The deficit comes down. So you got two things we're doing in America right now. Either America's going to flatline or it's going to readjust. What that means is a jump start. To jumpstart America, you have to give them 6 figures. Every American that has a birth certificate and the economy jumpstart. If y'all probably say, what? Yes, that's how it's done. Now, I don't know how long they're going to try, because realistically, Trump hit it on the head when he says it could be over $1 trillion. It's a little bit more than $1 trillion, to be exact. Okay, so if they already know that, let's not bullshit and send the American people $10K. Send them $100K. But I don't know if they're going to do that. But I really believe if they send this stimulus from the what they call it, the interest from these drawers that the Department of Treasury let go. Because remember, all this is coming from the Department of Treasury. That was from your trust. It should be pretty nifty. The American folk will get these checks to offset the debt. Now, if they don't do it, America's going to flatline. How'd that happen? Well, it happened before in the 1920s. Someone when that, remember that, it was the same. It was similar. Okay. The first Great Depression, it was the same shit. The same shit. So what does that mean in essence? Everything in the banks you would not get. The FDIC can take up to 65 to 100 years to pay your money back, and they won't. So everything that's in the bank, credit unions, market accounts, will be as a default. The government will claim it all. It's a flat line. And if they don't claim it, it's not worth anything. So you can see where we at, right? All right. So it's still great to understand this, because even when that happened, the Great Depression, we the people still stood. Did you know that? Now, back in the day, they honored it. They honored some of this trust, but it got lost in the sauce. People that knew, they killed them so they wouldn't spread the gossip of truth to the sovereignty, we the people. So that's why it got lost. And then getting lost in translation, they went back to this, you owe this, you owe that, you owe this. And here we are now with the DOGE and Elon Musk and Trump, it's coming back up. See, everything resurfaces every 75 to 100 years. So this is what we're doing. And basically, this is your trust that they're talking about, but they're using code. So you need to have an understanding how this estate info goes. It's important that you get this estate, you get this shit, because you're probably saying to yourself, well, what happens if it's flatline? Nigga, that trust's still there. The trust is never going to flatline. You probably say, well, Yash, well, how can you be so certain? Y'all keep thinking of yourselves as debtors. As long as you're the creditor, you can never be without funds. You can never be flatline. The whole Department of Treasury is based on American people's Social Security number and birth bond rights. Did you know that? That's why the Department of Treasury was invented. Not the Federal Reserve. Listen, the Federal Reserve is in charge of printing money. The Department of Treasury is what it is. Department of Treasury. So you being a creditor is a treasury. They need you as a human and signatures. That's how they collect the debts. I didn't want you to know. Why you think all your bills come in capital letters? That's a business name. Your name is in the stock trade, man. You're a straw person. Stop living to that straw name. That's why Live Life Claim. I used to do those for people. The Live Life Claim forms. Now, there's some good people on YouTube explaining those. If you want to know how to do those, you can do those yourself. So then Live Life Claim on YouTube, and they explain it so well. It's not hard to do, and you can get a replica copy from the PDF filler or anything that will have government papers or things of that nature. You get it free off Google, okay? And once you do the Live Life Claim, you got to mail it to 5 individuals, right? To say that you're not dead at sea, that you're controlling the straw person. You are in control of this straw fictitious name that was been put to you as an entity. So you represent that person, but don't go to court. People make the biggest mistake to go to municipal courts as humans, and we the people. The municipal court makes up things as they go. If you're going to take somebody to court, especially high officials, if a lawsuit, you want to get them in federal, because federal acknowledges Department of Treasury and estates. If you take them to municipal, they just make it up as they go. I'm just telling you. And this is why giving you tickets, speeding tickets against the law, all that, Law, it's just so much. You can't teach everything in segments. You really can't. When y'all get a ticket, you don't have to sign that ticket. Now he gonna threaten you, tell you don't sign, he gonna put you in jail. He don't want to do that. It's too much paperwork. If he does do it, it's gonna be thrown out because he don't have a right to threaten you to sign a ticket. You probably say, what's so important about signing a ticket? When you sign a ticket, you make a contract with the law officer saying that you're guilty and you're going to pay his debt. You probably say, wait a minute, Yash. Yes. Every time the officer stops you and writes up a ticket, if you don't sign it, he usually tears it up because if it's just his signature alone, he has to pay the debt because the roads are free. Traveling is free. So for him to write a document, false document saying that he's going to give you a bill, you have to acknowledge the bill and contract with him with your signature saying that you're going to pay his bill. So you probably say, well, how does that work? Well, when you go pay that ticket, he gets a bonus for that. You pay the bill for him. He writes a fictitious bill, which is totally fraudulent. You agree to pay it in the courts. The courts give him a bonus for it. See, that's fraudulent. And you say, I'm not signing it. Then he's going to tear it up because he's committing fraud and he's not going to put himself in prison. But they'll threaten to arrest you if you don't. That's unlawful. And on top of it, he's threatening your life if you don't go to jail. I mean, if you don't sign a ticket, he's going to put you in jail. If he does that, you hit him with all kind of lawsuits. They'll have the right to open your car, fingerprint you, put you in the back of a squad car. All those are lawsuits stemming at $100K a piece. But y'all don't understand that. Stop. I know these people that go around teasing these officers about, I have a right to record private privacy. They're idiots. They don't understand nothing about sovereignty and we the people. That's not the way it's done. Cover yourself and make sure you know who you are. So if they try to send you to court, you know the paperwork to bring. The judge going to throw it out. And if you're speeding, you're speeding. But, they're going to ticket you. You're going to sign the ticket and go. I would always fight tickets, man. I don't give a shit. I would always fight them. And he'll say he clocked you. It's against the law. So I wasn't doing that. Always contest. So we sign here. No. I'm not signing anything. And now what you can so here's the thing. When a cop threatened to put you in squad car or put you in prison or throw you in jail, you don't sign the ticket. That's called under distress. So basically what that means is he's threatening you. He got his gun on the holster. If you don't do it, I'm either going to kill you or that's what that's really saying. So with a ticket, you can put an X and just draw a line. I would never sign my name. I would put an X and leave it like that. That still ain't your signature. And you could take it to the judge. He said, why'd you put an X on it? Because I was under distress. He told me he will hurt me and put me in the local jail and ruin my life. And while he was doing this, he had his gun on his holster. And I didn't want no problems with my family in the car, so I just signed an X so he'll leave me alone. They're going to throw it out. But most people don't know what to say when they go to court. They try to fight it. Where he said this, stop using racism for everything, man. Racism is not what courts go with. Racism is an entity of a corporation that can employ their own group of people and subsidize and depress a certain demographic of folk. That's like migrants. So a Caucasian man who's on a corporation can be racist because he don't want to hire migrants. You get what I'm saying? So people don't understand the word racism. And so you're using words that incriminate yourself. And I recommend people buying a Black Law Dictionary, either the 4th or 5th edition or even 6th edition to explain the words that they use in courts and corporations. Then you'll be better prepared, especially for these officers who wrongly and try to convict you and give you tickets. That's about it for Port 3. Like I say, guys, I try to hit everything, but it's impossible. And some people say, well, won't you do a class? Look, man, you can have a 3-hour class. You would never cover this shit that I know. It's too vast. I've learned so much, and you just don't understand. As an American Indian, the land belongs to us. That's why everything is happening, too. The land going to be given back to the real Indians, not the natives. Not the Siberian Indians, the Eskimos, those are fake Indians, the Mexicans Indian. It's going to be given back. So Trump knows what he's doing. Trump is really the Antichrist. him and Elon. So he's not going to tell you this, but it's going to be given back to the people of the land. We are the people of the land. And I hate to say this, and I don't take this mean and rude and derogatory, but if you're a Caucasian man, woman, or child, you're going to suffer tremendously. Your ancestors left you a check you can't cash, and this is really driven towards you. You took a job with the Jewish, the Ashkenaz, and the Kazakhs to put your foot on people of color's neck so that you can have the king of the crop. Well, those people who employed your ancestors and left a bloodline for you to be wealthy and privileged has turned the other cheek. Now they're coming after you. You're no longer the majority, you're the minority. And that's what that DEI thing was about, to get rid of white women, because you were taken at the minority list as a white woman. And the reason you looked at majority, because every race that came to America put down on the ethnicity that they were white. Well, that's not happening anymore, according to DOGE. You white, you're white. You're Hispanic, you're Hispanic. And so what that means is white people are not the minorities. So it's chicken comes home to roost. You were never supposed to be in charge of anything. Your ancestors made a deal with Satan, because the Jewish, and the Ash means doesn't contain to, they're not the real Jews. The real Jews are people of color. They're Satanists. They're born into Satanism. They're really the children of Satan. And in order to work for them and have power, you have to do what they say. And that's what your ancestors did. They sold you out. They gave you a check you couldn't cash. So now, fast forward, the economy will fall with the benefit of the kings rising again as Indians. And the Caucasians will be back where they used to be. They call you servants and dwellers, peasants. And I know it don't sound great, but you need to do your history, how you were sold out. And the Jewish people know this, and they get ready to kick you down again. They're going to take everything. They're going to take your pensions, your houses, everything. You can't get out of this. It's just going to be bad, because you're now seeing that you was used, but it's too late to rectify. You're too far gone. I'm Yash Qaraah. Love y'all. Talk to y'all soon. I hope these segments make sense to you. Y'all be good. One love.